Hey, set six is coming out soon. Next month, or this month actually, in a week or so's time. So I'm still focusing on set five. So my thought is mainly with set five, as I've got the event in Italy on the 23rd. So I really want to focus in on that. But of course, I play a lot of Lorcana, and I'm still looking at the set six cards, and they are very exciting to look at. So this is of course not a final list. This is not a This list is going to be the list that I'm going to play for all of set six. But the first week of a meta is always interesting. We've still got loads of different environments putting their input in. People want to try out new cards. People want to test new cards. We actually want to see in practice if a card is any good. So I always tend to just go into the first week, not really changing much, as I'm not. I don't think I'm good enough, or I don't think anyone is really at the able to the point where they can fully predict how a meta is going to lay out. And we can use a prime example of, I'm going to use it for a previous card in set 3, which was the Jafar card, the Floodborn, which was predicted to be like the meta changing card, and it was in a lot of environments that I was in. I mean, I'm in most of the online ones, if not all of them. It was very hyped. People were very excited for it, and it never got the representation that we expected it to get. It never got top tier meta representation. It was a good card, and the Jafar wheel, it pops up here and there, and it's still around, and it's an interesting card, and it's fun, but it wasn't the impact and the splash that we expected. And we can put that same thought process into, say, Maui, the Shark Maui, or the Basil card. Both cards, they're not getting as hyped as much as Jafar is, but they are getting quite hyped. They're getting quite excited, and people really thinking that these cards are going to be really good. I think stats-wise, reading them, they're awesome. They look really cool. But will it shape the meta? We just need to actually find out and play and see the cards come out. And is it just going to get Zeused every game, or whatever? Because they do seem to be 5 health exactly. And of course, on the flip side of that, you've got cards like Clarabelle, which was just not talked about really at all. Wasn't really on anyone's radar. And then a week or two into the set, people realized this Clarabelle card's quite good. And it started making it into the lists. You had green steel Clarabelle focused decks. Then you also had on top of that, green purple now utilizes the card. So we just really don't know the direction that the meta is going to go until it actually happens and people figure all these things out actually in practice in a live environment. So going to the first week, I always tend to just carry over what we've learned from the previous set and just do a couple updates of cards that I just think are going to fit, and I can't see why they wouldn't be bad. So really, this is just the standard no wheel that we're seeing in Seattle from Sky and Moyen and Alphos that were all playing it. And just the little changes I've done is, I think Sail, a card that lets you draw a card in no wheel, is just amazing because you just basically want to keep the engine going. You just want to keep drawing cards and inking cards. That might be a little bit flexible because we have lowered the uninker count by 3 now because we took 3 Mickeys out to put 3 Sails in. So that might be fine, as a Sail actually only lets you ink inkable cards. It's an additional ink, so it works the same way that Bell does. It doesn't work the same way that Grab Your Swords does. Not Grab Your Swords, but Tifo or Quill does. So I'm looking at an inkable card. So there could be an issue there. In theory, it sounds amazing. It's going to get you drawing, and it's going to get you ramping. That's just awesome. It could be used as a cycle card if you just need to keep going through your deck. So I just think it's cool, but there's also the issue that the body on the board of Mickey is quite good, especially in a meta where people are playing a lot of Tremaines and stuff like that, and Tremaine effect cards. So we might see that, hold on a minute, we do actually just need to have a body on the board, because that was, in my opinion, why One Jump Ahead was always the worst option over Mickey, because, yeah, a Hero on 3 was fun, but Mickey on the board was very good for Tremaine, and that was when Be King Undisputed was also very popular as well. So sometimes just having a body on the board is a very impactful situation. And it can really help you even for just questing, even for like doing steel maths and trading up. So in theory, I think Sail is very good, but overall we need to keep it and get it through the ring. And it's the first card that I could see is maybe a lifeline sort of upgrade to the deck. So we'll try that one out. Bringing the uninkables down again is really awesome. And then yeah, just still giving us a really good ramp option. The other card as well is Jim, which means we do lose the Broom. And the Broom is just another option to cover evasives like Diablo, so I think that's really good. And Jim, if you're able to get him down on 2 and start ramping, he's going to be a card that says if you play any location, after like 2 Quill uses, he's going to be able to just, do 8 damage to a location or something like that and just take it out straight away. So I've got really high hopes for him. And locations being something that Blue Steel I wouldn't say the word struggle with, but I'm never having a joyful game when they're just playing Queen's Castles and stuff like that. So he might be an amazing addition, he might not be. Because it's only Challenger that he adds. I have seen some games where he just gets brawled. It feels like that's the wrong thing to do, is to brawl Jim. But if they're gonna brawl Jim and then you have no answer for Castle or Library, maybe it's right. I don't know. That's why I say it needs to go into practice and we need to see how it works out. If you're in a situation where you play a gym, you start quill ramping, and you've got this really powerful gym, and they brawl it, but that means that your Hiram's going to survive and they steal locations. Do you still come out on top of that? So that requires a lot of practice, I think, and also just playing in the meta to seeing if the person who has a brawl wants to actually use the brawl on it. But at 4 health, he's going to survive a lot of things. Let the Storm Rage on isn't really a problem. Strength requires 1 extra character on board. So overall, I think he might be quite good. Of course, then he doesn't challenge Flynn. But then you need to also take into account, does RP fall down a few tiers? It never seems to. It never seems to go away. But we need to really see where things land and if we're allowed to enjoy these fun characters. Because as much as I really want to try Jim, as I mentioned, we took the Broom out, and having another Diablo cover was great. I don't see Green going away. Green actually only got stronger with this set with some of the cards that it added. And especially with cards like Go-Go, which is also an evasive. Maybe Jim just is not going to be as important and just having another evasive check on the board. Or we just up the fire the cannons count and we up some steel removal and we get to use Jim and we get to fiddle around with the numbers again. But overall, yeah, these are the only 2 changes I'd make. Of course, I think just ramping into an aerial, a tower, and then dime finishing is still just amazing. Cheech has been awesome. But there's also that thing of if steel is just going to become really prevalent now, Chicha might not be as useful because we're just going to have so little games where she's powerful. But that's, really, we've got to just see how the first week comes out. And if steel is just going to take over and Chicha's going to be just destroyed most games, we don't really want to use it. We want to look for other options. But if not, we can use her. There's just a lot of thought around red not being as powerful anymore. But I think that's a lot of doomsaying. So like I say, I think I'd play it safe. This is exactly the direction I'd go. Just upgrade what we had before, and then think, a week's time into the set. There is a lot of Maui sharks around. Maybe we do need a Maui shark answer, so we do need to add in Zeus's or just ways to remove maybe more Hades because we just want an overall removal for characters like that. So yeah, this would just be the direction I went. It's really just an upgrade from the no wheel list that we've seen before. And just to sort of mention some cards that, well, I think are worth mentioning. I really want them to work out and be playable cards, but I don't know where they fit. I don't know if we can afford to fit them. It's Blue Steel is very much a deck that likes to react to the meta, so we don't really lead the charge of we're going to do this thing. It's like we're going to do our Tamatoa Dime Finisher, and we're also going to add in cards that react to your deck. Like Fire the Cannons, Brooms, and stuff like that, and just answers in general to the meta whilst we do a Dime Finish. So Prepare Your Bot I think is really cool. It was like the one card that really excited me from the set, or the first card that really excited me from the set. I'm excited to see it actually do well. And you could do these crazy finishes where you were Aerial and Dime, and if you had 2 of these in your hand, you could finish the game in 1 turn with Aerial Quest, Dime Tap, Reset, Dime Tap, Reset, Dime Tap. So that would be cool. It's just getting 2 of these in your hand, the Aerial and the Dime set up as well. Aerial and Dime I don't think is that hard to set up, but getting 2 of these in your hand at once might not be the easiest thing in the world. So you have to play 4x of it. Is it a dead card most games, So it just takes that a lot of practice, and I think, as we get into the set, we'll see if it's worthwhile playing or not. But right now, I'm really on the fence of it. Maybe if the meta slows down enough, we're not just going to get Daisy aggroed, which I think we will do. We're not just going to get turned sideways with all these new awesome Amber cards. Maybe we can fit this combo in. That would be awesome. But for right now, I'm just on the fence of putting it in the list and actually finding where the room would be for it. And another card is the Ralph card. As I say, maybe Jim alone just being such a powerhouse of a challenge attacker. Your location maths just works out of you Jim, then you hit with something else, or Jim alone can clear. If you've managed to quill ramp when he's on the board, then quill ramp again, and he gets to like 8 challenger, he can just swing and take it out. So maybe you don't even need this card, but overall it does give you 5 lore when you turn sideways if you destroy a location or an item, and it can do a location clear and get you 5 lore. That's just really awesome. So I'd like to see where this fits. It's another 6-drop uninkable. So there's that room of, I still think Aerial is going to overall just be a better card to play in your deck. So I would keep the Aerial around. But It's another card that I think is really interesting. And, you know, if the meta shapes up in a certain way, if it speeds up, speed slows down, if locations become so prevalent, we've seen so many awesome new locations like added. So if those things all work out, this would be an awesome card to include. But you know, we need to check these things. We need to see if no one's really playing many locations because they're like, oh, everyone's dealing with my locations. It's just there for getting you two lore off a Porpsicle hit or something, you know. And there's going to be loads of games where you play into decks that just don't have locations, and he's just not going to play, not going to give you much value there. So interesting cards, but again, I think you need to see where the meta sort of lands on that one. And the Alice card, I really like the idea of keeping your Hiram alive. It can protect your Hiram when it quests, and then it can protect your Tamatoa. So if you could play Tamatoa and Pete, it's like there's literally no way that you could play Alice, sorry, on your Tamatoa and then Pete as well. Literally no way they can clear it, which would be awesome combination. But it's a 3 cost uninkable, and it's like, when do I set this up? I guess the only good thing is when you set it up, it's very unlikely it's going to be dealt with as it's a 1/4 with ward. So she's going to get value. It's just setting her up. Do you have the time to do it? Games are very tight these days. The games are very tight these days, but the meta's got very tight. You know, if you're just going to get Daisy, what's it called? Sorry, Daisy, Smee, Lawrence, like 6 games in a row, you have no time to really set this up. And even if you do set it up, it doesn't really do much. It's uninkable, so you'd have to quill it away if it's not for that matchup. And then you got to look back at cards like Sail that I said which are good to include. It's like, well, Sail can't actually dump this into your Inkwell, so do we need to use a Tippo again or something like that? So all of this stuff is interesting. It's all going to come through in testing, and after the first week, we'll definitely be able to see what decks are shining, which ones aren't, and then we get to see how the meta shapes out and see if we get to use any of these new fun toys. But as I say, with Blue Steel, it tends to be a deck that likes to answer the meta and likes to respond to it. And then our finisher has always been Dime as of recent, and before it was McDuck and what's not. But I think we really have to wait to see how the meta comes out and we can respond to it. But overall, with Grab Your Swords, Fire the Cannons, and Tinkerbell, you should be not losing every game at your locals, and you should start seeing like a clear pattern of what's popular and what's not, and then start teching and changing the list towards that. But yeah, this is sort of the first direction. Very simple changes, nothing too exciting. But yeah, we'll see how the set 6 goes, and I'm gonna do a set 6 review as well because of all the cards outside of Blue and Steel and just where I think the direction of the meta might go, and you can see all of my wrong predictions on that video.